My ex-girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 26 male, dated for about 5 years. I haven't been able to land a decent job after graduating college. I've been struggling financially, making do with part-time gigs. At the time, my ex told me she understood that things were bad for the moment. She was doing better than me working as an online shopper. She even had her own website and everything and was sharing my apartment rent with me. I felt embarrassed that my girlfriend was doing so much for me. I wanted to provide for her, so I kept pushing hard without stopping, trying to find a stable job. A few months ago, my ex suddenly left our shared apartment, saying she was visiting her parents. While we were apart, we had a big fight over our communication. She claimed we weren't talking as much as before, that I wasn't calling her enough. Man, I was busy chasing money. What did she expect from me? I hung up on her after that. We didn't talk that day. However, we settled our disagreement. Everything seemed fine until she returned from visiting her parents. She became a totally different person, always looking to fight with me. She started acting unruly, leaving the house wearing skimpy clothes she knew I hated to see on her just so she could get a reaction out of me. I didn't say anything to her. I simply watched her behavior carefully. I started to suspect that she was already cheating on me because she would openly flirt with her so-called male friends in my presence. The cat and mouse game was going on for much too long, and I decided to put an end to it, so I dug into her cell phone messages and discovered she was sexting with different guys. I took screenshots of the messages and confronted her about it. My ex was actually glad that I'd found out. She wasn't even hiding that she'd been having affairs behind my back and told me she was annoyed at my lack of interest after all the effort she'd put into showing me she no longer wanted to be in a relationship with me. She'd been trying to get on my nerves so that I'd be the first person to break up with her. When I asked how she started cheating on me, she told me it was when we argued after she traveled to her parents. She had slept with someone out of anger. Since that time, she started to rethink our relationship. I was poor and struggling. There was no sign that things were getting better, and she was tired of paying most of the bills since there were other men ready to give an attractive woman like herself everything she wanted. After listening to her, I knew there was no need salvaging what was already broken. Our relationship was already long over. I did my best to toughen up and moved out of our apartment. I'm now staying with an old friend I've been talking with for some time. He's promised to help me find a job, so I'm patiently waiting to see what happens. I haven't been in touch with my ex for a long time, and to be honest, I could care less what happens to her. She's now a part of my past. I'm only focused on moving forward now. Update. 2 months ago, I posted my story here. My ex left me because I didn't get a decent paying job soon after I graduated. At least that's what she said anyway. Personally, I think that's a shit excuse. Did she think employers would be lining up to hand me a job right out of college? I moved out to my friend's place after my breakup, and he wanted to hook me up with a new job. My friend kept his promise. He helped me find a job at a tech company. Although the pay isn't that big, I can at least have a more stable life. My ex has been calling me. The last time we spoke was a month ago when she wanted me to return some of her useless stuff. She told me she was surprised by how cold I acted towards her. She was surprised that I didn't even care to work things out with her. She told me she'd been missing me. There aren't any men who could handle her like I did. I was nauseated by her talk. Was she really hearing herself? She'd been cheating on me with every Dick and Harry just so she could break up. She got what she wanted. Why is she complaining now? Yesterday, she told me she was coming to see me to give back something that I left at my old apartment. I know I've taken every single thing I own from that house. She's just looking for an excuse to talk to me again after I repeatedly ignored her, but I don't plan on giving her my time. I have better things to do. So there goes. Just thought people might want to know what I've been up to. Story 2. My wife, 26 female, cheated on me. Sorry this is long as hell, but I'm at a loss. Backstory, we're married and have a 2-year-old. She was away for work for a little over 6 months entirely across the country. Myself and our toddler came to visit 3 times during this separation. Now, she started going out to clubs with 2 guys that were 20 and a few of her girlfriends. She always liked going out, and I've had no reason to ever doubt her before, but soon enough, it was every weekend. And I'd get a text the next day that she and some of her friends got a hotel as they didn't want to go home at the end of the night. Fast forward, it just gets sketchier, but she eventually finished and came home. The second day she was home, I checked a message pop up from one of the guys I knew she was close with, and I saw a text chain of her talking about trying to fuck him and egging him on to go out that night because he'd been talking mad game. After a lot of screenshots and fighting, she finally came clean that they'd cuddled a lot and made out a few times when they were too drunk. She maintains they never had sex. Due to the screenshots, I called her roommate at the work location, and she said that my wife and the kid had fucked around while she was in the room even. Wife refuses to say it happened. I decided to try to make this work, even though I feel that she's still hiding details. Now she's currently on a business trip again, only for a month this time, but she's already partying every weekend with new friends. It's a different location. Now, every time she's going out, she starts a fight about something I said and refuses to talk to me all night until she gets home. Tonight she started a fight because I asked her very politely to not get too drunk because it makes me extremely uncomfortable due to what happened just a few months ago. Now, I'm basically just ranting because I have nobody to turn to. But my whole point of coming here to you all is I have an anxiety disorder and I can't always tell what's a gut feeling, what's my anxiety, or when there's just plain proof in my face. So please, am I being irrational to be upset by her continual partying and blackout drinking while I'm a single father? She doesn't act this way when she's home at all. Do you think she's acting suspiciously? And if so, how do I go about talking to her about this without her gaslighting me? If anyone makes it all the way through this and answers, thank you very much. Edit. I'm 23 and we've been together 4 years now. That's how I talked myself into staying with her after I found out about the initial infidelity. I'm so young I can put a little more skin in the game, that I'd always have remorse for not trying to make it work. But this post has boomed quite a bit and it's been entirely eye-opening. She's obviously hurting my family. She's flagrantly disregarding our marriage. Part of her position required her to sign her custody rights to me, so a custody battle would not be possible as I already have full custody. I might be very young to be a single dad, but ladies do it all the time, so I'm feeling more confident that it's going to be okay once I get her toxicity out of our lives. She says she cares and that she wants to do couples counseling when she's back, but I'm unsure that she'll even actually try. I don't think she understands that I could leave and that I'd keep custody of our toddler. I'm more concerned with the ages here, NGL. So she dated a barely adult man when she was like 22? You're way too young to be dealing with a wife, a divorce, and a 2-year-old. But what's done is done. But I think she's trying to manipulate you because she thinks she has an age advantage over you. Anyway, the fact that she's repeatedly partying, starting fights before going out, and then avoiding communication until the next day is more than just a red flag. It's a whole parade of them. You're not being irrational at all to feel upset about this, especially given the history of infidelity and her ongoing sketchy behavior. It's really telling that she only acts this way when she's away, almost like she's living a double life. Counseling might help, but it's only effective if both people are genuinely committed to change. From what you've described, it doesn't sound like she's anywhere near that point. Trust your instincts. If she's repeatedly showing you who she is, believe her. You're young. You have a lot of life ahead of you. Don't let her continue to drag you down. Story 3. How to break news of divorce. I'm about 3 weeks out from D-Day. Just started an amicable divorce processing. We were together 11 years since senior year of college. Married for 5. No kids. I found out that she's been having an emotional affair with her coworker. It turned physical a few days after she asked for a divorce. I saw her making out with him in front of our house for 30+ minutes. I never knew this level of pain existed. I'm struggling with what information to share with people. We spent the last 11 years together, so there are a lot of mutual friends. I have told my unfiltered version to a handful of close friends. For others who ask, I've said something generic like, she doesn't see a future in our marriage and I see no point in forcing her to stay. Saying that makes me feel like I'm lying for her. Can I say, she has someone else? Is that too much information for acquaintance/mutual friends? She also works at a small company of 5. Do I tell the owner of the company anything? I feel like it's a disaster waiting to happen, but maybe that's none of my concern anymore. I have the urge to tell the whole world what a narcissistic cheater she is, but I know better. So how do you break the news appropriately? It's totally understandable to want to expose the truth after what you've been through. The betrayal and pain are unimaginable, and you shouldn't feel like you have to protect her image, especially when she's the one who's broken the trust. When it comes to sharing the news, I think it's fair to be honest, but measured. For close friends, telling them the truth, that she's with someone else, is completely appropriate. They're likely going to be your support system, and they should know the real reason why your marriage is ending. For acquaintances or mutual friends, you could go with something like, she found someone else, and I'm not going to stay in a marriage where I'm not valued. It's honest without going into too much detail, but still makes it clear that this wasn't a mutual decision or just a simple falling out. As for her workplace, that's a tricky one. It's tempting to let the owner know, especially if you feel it might affect their business, but it's probably best to let that go unless you know for sure it would cause harm to the company. You have every right to be angry, but just remember that your integrity matters too. Share what you feel comfortable with and what helps you feel supported. You don't owe her any favors, but you also don't want to get caught up in the drama. Stay strong. You've got this.